The guy who made the song 6'7", his name is Skrilla. And even more worser, Skrilla, he does witchcraft. He literally practices Santeria. During all of his concerts and appearances, he wears these creepy masks. And he also worships demons. And even more insaner, every demon has their own number. For example, one demon will be assigned number 6, another will be assigned number 41, and the demons that Skrilla worships are number 6 and 7. Oh, but it gets even more insaner.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys. We talk about the most scary and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, that's gonna make us question everything. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Say it with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
Steve Jobs was known to put his feet in public toilets as a way to relieve his stress. There was a swarm of 20,000 bees that followed a car for 2 days because their queen bee was trapped inside. 90% of people in China and Singapore now own their homes. In the US and Canada, that number is only 65%. In Germany and Switzerland, that number is only 43%, but it's because they have specific incentives for long-term renting, and they have strong tenant protections that we just don't have. NASA dumps 500,000 gallons of water on their rockets before takeoff just to make sure, it doesn't blow itself up. There was a study of over 1 million comments from over 15 years of relationship advice on the subreddit for relationship advice. The red line on this graph is the advice to just end the relationship, and you can tell from 2010 to 2025, that advice got a lot more poked. 13 Call of Duty games have come out since Grand Theft Auto 5.
Sorry, guys, what? Seriously, if you're about to drink cold water, don't ever do it again. I mean, first of all, it's don't drink fizzy drinks, they're bad for you. Then obviously, you've got to drink filtered water or bottled water or whatever. But now, just don't drink water at all, apparently. I don't actually believe I'm saying this, but saw this video the other day, take a quick watch.
If you're drinking cold water or even your cold beverages, listen up. This can have serious implications on your digestion.
Now, this guy claims that if you drink cold water, it's actually extremely bad for you. Apparently, cold and freezing water causes serious implications in your digestive system when you actually drink it. It doesn't really make that much sense, if I'm being honest with you. As I say, a lot of doctors claim this is true. They literally say, no, if you drink cold, really, really cold water, you could actually die at some point. Die? But there is no actual evidence in supporting this, so I don't really get it. But a lot of people are warning people to just drink room temperature water, which, yeah, I'm alright, thanks mate, don't fancy doing that. I mean, we all know the best feeling when you're really thirsty and you have a big ice cold drink. So whatever these claims people are saying, I don't know, but I mean, I don't remember the last time someone died from drinking cold water.
I was growing.
Bro, I just drank some cold water last night, man. So now you telling me I gotta stay away from that, bro? Room temp only? I don't know if I can do that, man. I'm going to have to dive deep into that research, bro. Is that cold water really bad for you? That's a head scratcher.
Was absolutely terrified of the running lines in swimming pools, because I was. This is going to be the dumbest video you watch today, and I'm not even ashamed, but this is one of my biggest phobias, and it always has been, is these frickin' running lines on the bottom of swimming pools. Why were they so terrifying? Also, this little, rope thing that separated the different lanes in the pool. I'm so weird. Am I the only one? I know I'm not, because I get comments all the time, but oh my god, why is this so freaky? Here's a photo of it completely underwater, with this little drop-off. I hate this. I have a huge phobia of swimming pools. This is disgusting. Call me dramatic, call me stupid all you want. I don't care. This is stupid. This is crazy. Definitely one of my dumbest phobias ever. But those running lines, they look like giant snakes when I was little. You know that I have a phobia of paintings on the bottom of swimming pools, but those lines in particular, hate it. And here they are in a drained pool that has been abandoned. Love that for me and you. And once again, another photo of an abandoned pool with the lines where it's drained. I hate this.
So apparently, all energy drinks are not made equal. And Monster Energy Drink itself is now marketing an energy drink just for women. So if you have not been focused on the energy drink game, there's a brand new energy drink that's being marketed just for women, and it will be out early 2026. Meet Monster Energy's new female-focused energy drink, Flirt. Believe it or not, the claims of this product, Flirt, are that it's supposed to support many things that women really care about. Collagen, skin, hair, You name it, it'll support it. So apparently this is the first drink that is on the market to keep women both alert, energized, and have their skin looking amazing. The one difference with this new flirt is the size of the cans. They are only 12 ounces. Well, as far as I know plenty of females that have cracked open a Monster Energy drink and just, chugged it back and enjoyed it. Why did they have to go and make a female Monster Energy drink with all the funky colors on the can and different designs, and then come up with the name Flirt? What does that even entail? So I guess my question to you is, will you be buying and trying, or are you just satisfied with the regular Monster that they sell now? Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments, and as always, I'd love to hear from you.
New study has found that raccoons are showing early signs of domestication. Dogs, you may have competition. Now, the study conducted at the University of Arkansas suggests that raccoons living in urban areas in North America are physically changing in response to life around humans. And researchers suggested that domestication starts when wild animals start hanging around humans and adapt on their own, rather than us domesticating them. Dogs hung around ancient garbage piles, and cats showed up for the mice that followed. But in this process over hundreds of years, physical changes were also observed. Shorter snouts, smaller heads, floppy ears, and white patches of fur. This pattern, which is noted all the way back in the 1800s, is called the domestication syndrome. And raccoons in the Big 25 and before GTA 6 might have that syndrome. Of the 20,000 raccoons observed across the US, researchers discovered that the ones living in the city have shorter snouts than the ones living in rural areas. Bro, what even is this year?
You think you know the truth about aliens? Well, wait until you see what them government insiders say. Amazon Prime is dropping a documentary that's going to change the way everybody thinks. The Age of Disclosure features 34 high-ranking officials. I'm talking intelligence, military, Congress. Names like Mark Rubio pop up, dropping statements like, something is flying over our nuclear facility, and it's ours. They're intelligent. And a secret global race can reverse engineer alien technology. And this ain't fun fact about UFOs. We're talking possible national security threats. Tech we can't reverse engineer yet. And power structures that may already know more than they're telling. If these claims are real, it's time to question who's really pulling the strings. This documentary is going to show hard-to-deny testimony, pilots, intelligence officers, missile site witnesses that say they saw the crabs that wasn't human. This shit is going beyond We Are Alone. This shit is basically about who's been here all along and what tech they left behind. You gotta ask yourself, why are they releasing this shit now? Right when AI is on the rise, right when space projects are accelerating. This might not just be a disclosure. This might be conditioning. So when you watch this shit like they're finally saying what everybody's been thinking. Because that's what this shit is going to be like. I'm out.
Okay.
The symbolism will be their downfall. Did y'all see that they included black horses in the opening, the introduction of the ceremony today? I feel like they are ramping up with the symbolism. I feel like Satan knows he does not have a lot of time left. And so he is 110% ramping up, going 0 to 100. And I feel like a lot of us are asleep and we are not seeing the symbolism that is right in front of us. So I asked the Bible app Haven about this apocalyptic symbolism that I feel like a lot of people is not seeing. I said, what does the Bible say about a black horse? So Haven responds with, Revelation 6:5, and it talks about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and that it brings famine and scarcity. Remember, famine and scarcity. But I want to know more. I said there was some symbolism on the world stage with Donald Trump and black horses for a ceremony, okay? So then Haven says, it sounds like you're connecting the Bible to biblical symbolism in real life involving Donald Trump. I feel like this mockery it's like a slap in the face, because guess what? Revelation 6:5 says, when he opened the third seal, he heard the beast say, come and see. Beheld, lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. You're seeing this biblical symbolism on the world stage. Not just America, it's everywhere. We're seeing this same exact symbolism.
Pfizer is a conspiracy that involves the Vatican. This man, who was a monk in Italy named Pellegrino Ernetti, and he had this skill set of restoring old Gregorian chants and he was working with this other guy who was his boss, and then the guy who he was working with, the guy heard his father's voice. He's like, that sounds like my dad, this frequency that was coming in. He heard his father talking about shining shoes or a shoe repair or something. He's like, that is my father, because he was a cobbler. They're able to like tap into this whole past life. And so that got Father Pellegrino to start doing research into what he called residual energy. He theorized that that could be detected. He went back, fragments had remained, and no one knew what the play was. He went back and was able to watch the whole play and write down the entire play.
That is nuts,
so
dude.
they went to the Pope with it, and the Pope said, you have to get rid of it. They said this is way too dangerous to have. Supposedly, they dismantled it, but there's a lot of people theorizing that the Vatican still has it, they still use it, and potentially the CIA is involved in it.
Damn.
Oh, she's possessed. Like straight up.
Wait, something's going on. Her face doesn't look like herself. Something's going on.
Yo, I've seen this video. It's a couple that does these hauntings. And one of them was they actually explored a prison where a lot of people died, right? So this is when the husband was really scared. They have a code word whenever they go so you know that they're still there with you, right? The wife's sitting there and she's smiling. Like in the video, she even says, look in my eyes, because her eyes were just like looking at someone in the distance. Husband was like, baby, you remember our code word? And she's like, we don't have a code word. Don't be funny. I don't know what that is.
We have a safe
We don't have
We have a word safe word. What's the word safe word?
No.
Come on.
I just want to go.
Come on.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah. That was not good.
The husband's like, okay, we have to get out of here. Let's do a ritual on you real quick before we go, because this is like haunted.
Yeah.
Oh, she's possessed.
Like straight up.
Yeah, she said this is the first time I felt like an
What's the safe word?
Like a safe word.
What's the safe word?
And how we don't have a safe word.
Oh, that's crazy.
We have a word safe word.
And they always have a safe word.
That's wild.
You trying to exorcise me?
I'm this congregatio. Et secta diabolic.
This is not what you're supposed to hear from supposedly the happiest place on earth. And that's why you need to listen up. Something weird is happening at Disney, and y'all cannot ignore this. 5 people have died at the World Disney Resort within a month. And the latest one that happened, it happened at the Saratoga Spring Resort on November 8th. People are saying that's a quiet resort, and you would never expect something like that to happen, let alone at Disney, because like they said, it's the happiest place on earth. Nobody's saying Disney is not safe, but when the same theme park keep having incidents happen within a short time period, people gonna start asking questions, and rightfully so, because it's a little weird. It's becoming a little weird. Once, twice maybe, but 5, it's crazy how life works. It did, but why go to a happy place to do that? It's weird. Or if it's not true, just imagine you go to a place where you vacation there with your family, make memories, have fun, and then that's the last place you ever was alive. Y'all let me know what
This right here is the first household
Insane.
humanoid robot you can buy today for just $20,000. It's called Neo. But here's what they're not telling you in the marketing. Almost nothing you see in those promotional videos is actually autonomous. Those tasks are being performed by humans wearing VR headsets remotely controlling the robot. When you buy Neo and it can't figure out how to do something, which is most tasks, a human operator connects remotely and takes control. They can see through the robot's cameras into your home while they manually do your dishes. The few things it can do autonomously, opening doors, fetching basic objects, that's about it. And it's painfully slow. 5 minutes to load 3 items into a dishwasher, over a minute to walk 10 feet and get water from the fridge, 4-hour battery life before it needs to recharge. It can't handle anything hot, heavy, or sharp. Frequent failures, needs brakes to cool down, and you're paying $20,000 for the privilege of beta testing their unfinished product while strangers remotely control a robot in your house. This is the reality gap. Marketing shows a fully autonomous home assistant. Reality is a remote-controlled robot with severe limitations that requires human operators to do most tasks while watching your private life through its cameras. When the robot made you pay 20 grand for needs a human to actually do the work, are you buying automation or just expensive remote labor with a privacy problem? You mean...
That's freaking iRobot right there, man. It's literally in the movies, but why aren't people paying attention, man? And the fact that it's $20,000 too, and it's not even a freaking finished product, that's diabolical, bro. They say it's like for beta testing and stuff like that. I don't know who's getting that, man. And to name it Neo, bro. Like after Neo the movie The Matrix. That's crazy work.
6-7 is actually demonic. So the guy who made the song 6-7, his name is Skrilla. And even more worser, Skrilla, he does witchcraft. He literally practices Santeria. And during all of his concerts and appearances, he wears these creepy masks. And he also worships demons. And even more insaner, every demon has their own number. For example, one demon will be assigned number 6, another will be assigned number 41. And the demons that Skrilla worships are number 6 and 7. Oh, but it gets even more insaner. When Skrilla is practicing Santeria, he literally shared videos of him doing weird things to chickens and goat heads, where he does SACRAFICES to them. And Skrilla constantly talks about selling his soul and how he's a vampire, and that his clothes are spiritual and like casting a spell. And now a lot of people feel like it is mocking faith. He literally had babies doing the 6-7. Now parents are mad at teachers because entire classrooms were doing this. It was showing up everywhere. And now some people are even saying that the 6-7 kid is an industry plant from the devil himself. And I say himself because we all know the devil is a man because women aren't evil. Will you ever say 6-7 again?
Shit. Ariana Grande has caused quite a storm on social media this week, and it's all to do with the dress that she wore for the Grammys. And yes, the Grammys has been some time, but people weren't actually paying attention. So Ariana Grande basically wore this red glitter dress, but what a lot of fans didn't actually realise was that it actually had a red shoe on the back. And as much as some people think it's nothing more than a reference to Dorothy's shoes from The Wizard of Oz, other people are actually speculating that Ariana Grande is in fact referencing the Red Shoe Club. So what is the Red Shoe Club? The Red Shoe Club allegedly is for the elite, filled with high-list celebrities, parts of the royal family and even politicians. It is a club in which they kidnap, traffic, kill and even sometimes eat young children. People believe that the red shoes are actually made from human skin, and the people who wear them are part of this. Wearing the shoe is basically a symbol to others about their power. Don't shoot the messenger because I just think it's a Dorothy reference.
All right, quick update. NASA just held their live stream about 3i Atlas. Here's the highlights. I'm going to show you the images, and I'm going to give you my take on the whole thing. So they opened by immediately shutting down all the hype, the speculation, rumors. Straight out of the gate, they said, this is a comet. There's no mystery, just a standard classification of a comet. They did say that their teams were still quietly tracking 3i Atlas through the whole government shutdown. So, you know, they've been collecting data nonstop, basically. They then showed some images, and they showed it from multiple spacecraft. So they started with the Psyche spacecraft. They then showed an image from the Lucy, and the Maven was next. And then they also showed something from the SOHO missions. NASA has launched a dedicated 3i Atlas page with a whole bunch of imagery up there, so I'll link it down below so that you can dig through it yourself and check it out. Now, they did emphasize that they're still going through tons of data. So they said there's going to be more images, more analysis, and more detailed information that will be released in the near future. Look, overall, though, it was underwhelming. It was interesting to some degree, but nothing mind-blowing. No big surprises, no dramatic reveals, very conservative overall. Did you watch it yourself? Do you feel like they answered your questions at all? Or do you think NASA is still holding back? Let me know your take.
I mean, if they really legit did find something, could they even say it? So I guess do you think they was like trying to play it down on purpose, man? And be seeing all these 3i Atlas videos on YouTube, bro. People have many theories of what it could be, and when that actually picture came out, I saw it. It was like so blurry. People was like, "Wow, that's what we're tracking." So there could be more behind the story.
A chapel that has a staircase in the church that does not use wood, any nails, any glue from this earth. So, have you ever heard about the mystery of the Loreto Chapel?
Never heard about it.
So, here's the story. They're building this chapel in New Mexico, right? And the French architect in charge suddenly dies before finishing the staircase to the choir loft. So the nuns, they pray to St. Joseph for like 9 days, hoping someone will come and build the stairs. On the last day of their prayer, this guy shows up out of nowhere, like literally from the desert, riding a donkey. He just walks into the church and says he was sent to build the stairs. In just 3 months, he builds the entire staircase, and then poof, he's gone. Didn't even ask for payment or anything. So the nuns They go to the lumberyard to see if they owe anything for the wood, but the workers are like, nah, this guy never came here to get wood. And here's the craziest part. There's not a single nail used in the entire staircase. So the chapel's curator, right, he's like, okay, we need to figure this out, and brings in over 120 experts to examine it. They all say the same thing. It's physically impossible to build a staircase like that.
Y'all seen this yet? There's something going on in the Caribbean, y'all, because Melissa just came through and destroyed Jamaica, right? And now, right, not just Jamaica, but Haiti as well. But check this out. Now Haiti's name says Haiti instead of Haiti, and this is a federal map too. This is the aviation map. They're showing you guys this is Haiti. But nonetheless, y'all, something's going on because this was spotted today, and the weather started acting weird around this general area. People are still hearing loud booms around the world, and then all of a sudden this pops up in the Caribbean. And did you guys see what's happening in Jamaica right now, y'all?
Brutalize the tree and leave them with no limbs nor leaves. We are now experiencing a major fire heave from West Africa on purpose.
Something is going on in the Caribbean, especially with Jamaica, man. These people cannot get a break. Look at the trees. The trees are barren. They're dead. And now something sparked a fire out there. See, I told y'all there's a lot of action going on in Jamaica right now because my friend just sent me a video of meteorites in Jamaica. This was just a few days ago. Remember earlier this year, this also happened, and now it's happening again. You know they talk about that dragon, that Leviathan waking up in the Jamaica, right? Y'all know about that, right? I literally just posted a video about a Jamaican guy talking about the Leviathan. But look, check this out, y'all. Look at this, look. Look at the head. Look at the snout. Y'all see that? Jamaica's right there, and Haiti right there. That's why a lot of stuff be happening there, y'all. Y'all see that? It's literally the eye of the dragon, the snake. Y'all see that? And they talking about this thing is waking up. That's probably why that fire is there. Like the nose, y'all see that? The times are here. We are in prophecy. This would make sense as to why there's a cleansing going on in Haiti and Jamaica right now. But this is all part of the shift, y'all. I've been telling y'all, the shift is here.
Lady married her dead boyfriend. In 1978, in a small town in Ohio, there was a woman named Linda Smith who was head over heels in love with her boyfriend. They had talked about marriage endlessly, but just weeks before their wedding, her boyfriend tragically died in a car accident. Linda was devastated. Her boyfriend named Lemmy Leaf was the best boyfriend ever to her. One evening, Linda couldn't take it anymore, and she dug up her boyfriend's grave with the help of her two brothers. She announced she was still going to marry him. The townspeople were baffled, and some thought grief had driven her mad. Linda planned an eerie wedding party and invited everyone, wearing a white dress beside Max's corpse in a suit. Then came the twist. Linda didn't plan on returning her boyfriend to his grave. Instead, she decided that they will live together and have a family. All her friends and family saw her as a mad woman, but she didn't care. She kept her boyfriend inside a refrigerator and would occasionally bring him out for a walk. About 11 months later, she got pregnant. But you already know how she got that child.
Creepy last words people said right before dying. Laura says that she works in a palliative unit, and many dying patients claim to see nuns. The nuns are said to be dressed in all white or all black. She said that many patients' last words before they died were related to the nuns. She said that one time a patient told her, "Will you tell the nun to stop waking me up at night?" She kept waking me up to see if I was okay. On another occasion, she asked a patient who he was talking to, and he replied, "The nun sitting over there." One night, Laura was sitting down, and she noticed someone dressed in all black go into a patient's room. She found it odd for a visitor to come in at 2 a.m., especially since the patient never had visitors before. She decided to peek in the room to see who the visitor was, but when she walked in, there was no one there. The patient passed later that night, even though Laura says that when she put him to bed that night, he didn't seem close to death at all. Laura says that it freaks her out when the patients talk about the nuns.
If you hear bones,
the nun is real.
You at night, you better
okay.
run. The Gashidokaru are a yokai from Japanese folklore dating back 1,000 years. They are described as malevolent skeletal giants that can be as big as 15 times the size of a human. It's said that these giants wander around in the middle of the darkest nights, and if they see a human, they'll sneak up behind them. The last thing the victim will hear is the clinking of bones and the chattering of teeth before the Gashidokaru reaches down with its skeleton hands to crush them, bite off their head to drink their blood. According to the folklore, these things are created when people died from war and famine and didn't receive a proper burial. Unable to move on, their souls become angry ghosts, and when hundreds of them gather together, Their hatred ferments and twists into this supernatural force, bringing the bones of the deceased together into this gigantic and horrific form. They're thought to be indestructible, so the only way to ward them off is with a Shinto charm. But what do you think of the Gashodokaru? Make sure to leave a comment and like and follow this channel for more 4TN content.
I think the Gashodokaru, boy, if I've ever heard of that freaking anime called Attack on Titan, I'm guessing that's where it took the inspiration from, because those designs are kind of similar, bro. Hey man, like we said, we finding out watching these videos together that all pieces of media, man, they originate from somewhere, bro. Folklore, rumors, legends. That's what I learned, bro, watching these videos together with you guys. Edit.
Imagine going into surgery to try to fix a condition, but you actually come out looking much worse. Well, that's exactly what happened to 29-year-old Kayla Cannon. She was born with congenital ptosis, which is basically a condition where your eyes droop. And she wanted to fix this problem, so she went to a specialist, and then she came out looking like this. Kayla decided to get this procedure done with Dr. Harvey Chip Cole, who's located in Atlanta. This doctor made a ton of mistakes during this procedure, one of them being removing half of her eyelids, which caused a lot of tightness and left her looking like this. After the botched surgery, Kayla had a serious infection and could barely close her eyes because of how tight they were. And she had to undergo 7 additional surgeries to correct the damage, and she was left with these permanent scars. Kayla's devastated because she feels like she went through this procedure only to look worse than what she did, and this is the first time that this doctor did something like this. This is another patient who was also botched, and she came out right after Kayla spoke out about this doctor. And the crazy thing about this is that he is still practicing.
Take his license away.
Disturbing backstories. This might look like a normal family photo, but the reality is terrifying. The man in the yellow sweater is named John, and he's holding a baby named Heather. Heather grew up thinking she was adopted by John's brother, making John her uncle. But one day, a phone call changed everything. She had overheard a phone call saying her uncle was arrested. John Edward Robinson was connected to the deaths of multiple missing women, including 19-year-old Lisa Stassi, who was last seen with her 4-month-old daughter Tiffany, who went missing. And that's when Heather realized she's Tiffany. The man she thought was her uncle was actually her mother's killer. John had faked adoption papers and tricked his own brother into adopting his victim's daughter. And for 15 years, no one knew the truth. Follow for more.
Did you know
he never
Ronald
knew.
McDonald is no longer the mascot of McDonald's because of a chilling incident in 2010? This terrifying tale took place in Cuernavaca, Mexico. At a local McDonald's, a statue of Ronald McDonald sat on a bench, a popular spot for photos. Everything seemed normal until one night, when 2 gas station workers from across the street decided to take a break. One went to the bathroom while the other sat next to Ronald, saying, "I'm tired." To his horror, Ronald replied, "Me too." The man, stunned and terrified, leapt from the bench and suffered a fatal heart attack. Hearing the commotion, the second worker rushed out of the bathroom. He saw something so terrifying that he shared the story with everyone he could. However, days later, he fell into a coma and passed away. McDonald's allegedly erased the security footage from the gas station's cameras and quietly removed most of the Ronald statues. This eerie event might explain Ronald McDonald's near disappearance from the brand.
I'm about to show you one of the...
I've always wondered, yeah, why he's like evaporated from the brand. Maybe something, I don't know if it was like remote activated but had automated responses, but that's sure, that's a solid reason why they got rid of him. Or did something else happen?
Most interesting graves in Texas. It's in the Texas State Cemetery in Austin. I visited the other day. It was a cold, dark day. If you walk into the cemetery, you'll notice all the Texas flags and the Texas monuments. These people that were buried here were proud to be Texans. But if you keep walking, you'll notice the Confederate field where Confederate soldiers are buried, and right next to that is the grave of Albert Sidney Johnson. He was at one point considered the strongest general in the Confederacy. He was killed possibly by one of his own troopers. He was killed during the Civil War at the Battle of Shiloh, possibly by one of his own soldiers, and his body was initially buried in New Orleans, but he was moved back to Texas. In 1905, a sculptor was hired to create this monument, and let me tell you, it's eerie because it depicts Albert Sidney Johnson exactly how he looked as he lay dying on the day of his death.
It's an eerie monument. It's life-size. It's right in the shadow of Stephen F. Austin's grave at the top of the hill here at the cemetery. And it's very, very, very interesting to see in person.
He's pointing at it. Like, is it connected or something? The whole sculpture, the last moment of before you leave the world, that's definitely eerie.
I don't know if you guys know who these people are, but this is Alana and Brock, and they have a family vlogging channel. They live in Australia, and Alana makes a ton of TikToks about her daughter, Daisy, and how she's sick. Okay? It has just been found that her daughter does not have all of these sicknesses that they previously thought she did, and she was actually being poisoned. Now, Alana had just come on TikTok not too long ago crying and saying how her daughter had brain tumors all through her scans, and her daughter has been sick for a very, very long time. It was found that increased high levels of benzodiazepines were found in Daisy's bloodstream that was leading to her sicknesses. Alana has been profiting off of Daisy's sickness. She has GoFundMe pages, all of her TikToks that are now deleted, the whole page is deleted. All of it has been her doing this to her daughter, allegedly. Daisy's dad said he had no clue about any of this, and the children, because they had multiple kids, were taken out of their care, and right now Daisy is recovering.
So Amy Slayton from
Clout was dangerous, man.
Sisters was just arrested, and the way she was arrested is an actual fever dream. Like, honestly, I feel bad because if this goes the wrong way, she could lose custody of her children. So on Labor Day, Amy Slayton, her boyfriend, and 2 children went to a safari park in Alamo, Tennessee. It's basically like a drive-through zoo where you can feed the animals and pet them if they let you. We don't know exactly how it went down yet, but sources are saying that Amy was bit by one of the camels. I don't know if the injury was so bad that Amy called the police or if it's just the park's policy to call the authorities anytime someone is bit by an animal, but the police were called, and when they approached Amy's car, they immediately smelled some green flour, if you know what I mean, and when the authorities looked inside, they allegedly saw the flour and some special mushrooms in plain sight. Amy and her boyfriend Brian Lavorne faced charges of illegal possession of Schedule 1 and Schedule 6, and because the children were in the car, they also faced 2 counts of child endangerment. We know that the children are safe and staying with Amy's family members, but Tennessee's Child Protective Services are still investigating, so this could end very badly for Amy. And as of now, I'm pretty sure Amy is still in the Crockett County Jail on a $10,000 bond. I am unaware if 1,000 Pound Sisters is even filming right now, but if you are, let me know in the comments.
Oh, they're TV stars, what the hell?
Out loud, you might die. Hello, my name is Tamino, the creator of the poem Tamino's Hell. I was a boy who lived in Japan. I had very strict parents who would commonly give me cruel and unfair punishments, and was beat by my sisters. One day, I wrote this poem about my journey through hell, fueled by my sisters. But be careful, do not read it out loud. My parents found this poem and dragged me to the cellar and locked me in for several days. They did not bring me food or water, and I passed away due to starvation. My spirit now haunts this poem, and anyone who reads it out loud will be cursed with the same feelings of helplessness and despair that I once felt, as well as extremely bad luck, including accidents, sudden illness, or loss of their voice, and eventually loss of life. So don't risk it, and always remember...
Dirty Facts About History That They'll Never Teach You in School, Part 4. In her famous diary, Anne Frank originally wrote many explicit details involving her lady part's menstruation and pleasuring herself. Her father, Otto, cut those parts out. John Harvey Kellogg, one of the Kellogg brothers who invented breakfast cereal, advocated for sewing silver wires through boys' foreskins to prevent them from masturbating. In 1969, Yoko Ono released a film entitled Self-Portrait, consisting of a 42-minute shot of her husband John Lennon's semi-erect member. Following its initial screening, the film was never shown again. Often referred to as the father of vegetarianism, Sylvester Graham shunned alcohol, white bread, meat, and lust. must. He popularized whole grain food products and originally invented the graham cracker in the early 1800s to stop people from masturbating or having sexual desires. In 1851, Graham died of complications from an opium enema at the age of 57.
Damn, he was still young, man. Those facts blow my damn mind. People back in the day were had some extreme methods, man. To say the least.
This man vanished in the 90s, and then 30 years later, mysteriously showed back up on his family's doorstep with no explanation. This is the bizarre case of Vasile Gorgos. In 1991, Vasile Gorgos, a 63-year-old cattle seller from eastern Romania, disappeared without a trace after leaving for a business trip. Through his work in the cattle business, he would frequently travel to other cities. He bought a train ticket as he usually did and told his wife and kids he'd be back in a few days. He left that day, but never returned. His family reported him missing to the authorities, but after months of searching, they feared the worst. Police theorized he met with foul play, and his relatives knew he wouldn't intentionally run away as he had a family and worked extremely hard for his cattle business. It was ultimately determined that he most likely passed, and his family held a memorial service for him. Fast forward to August 2021, it was a quiet Sunday afternoon when an unknown vehicle stopped in front of the Gorgos home. An older man stepped out as the car quickly sped away, and to everyone's shock, who got out of the car? It was Vasile. His family was in complete shock. He was now 93 years old. He was clean and wearing the same clothes he wore 30 years prior when he went on that ill-fated trip. Along with his clothing, they also found that train ticket he bought 30 years ago, along with some identification. But he barely recognized his family, and seems to have no memory of where he's been the past 30 years. He seems to remember events before the time he disappeared, but nothing from the 30 years he was missing. And after the media got a hold of this story, people had so many questions. As for the car that dropped him off that day and sped away, neighbors said they weren't able to get the license plate or see what the driver looked like. This is one of the strangest stories I've ever heard, and many like myself wonder what happened and who dropped him off that day. Some have pointed to him possibly having another family. Others have speculated a glitch in the universe or time travel. Personally, I am stumped. What are your theories? Where was he those 30 years?
It's a glitch, bro. Like they said, glitch in the matrix. Something happened, bro. That much time
You're
gone.
out and about and see a duplicate of yourself standing in front of you. And I'm sorry, my friend, but the end is near. Well, at least according to Irish folklore. You see, today we're looking at an entity called the Fetch. Now, the Fetch is a very simple concept. It's an exact duplicate of you. Though its appearance is regarded as an omen, usually indicating that your time is near, my friend. Though according to some, the time of day a fetch appears completely changes what it's meant to be indicating. So if you see a fetch in the morning, according to some, it's actually a good sign indicating a long life. This folklore series is quite fun, isn't it? Are you ready for the next episode?
I'm going to warn everybody right now, the case that we're about to cover is easily one of the most disturbing true crime stories I've ever heard in my life, so viewer discretion is really advised for this one. This is Kevin Davis. He was 18 years old back in 2014 when this horrific event took place. Kevin lived here in Corpus Christi, Texas, and shared an apartment with his mother, Kimberly, and his sister, Destiny. On May 26, 2014, Kevin snapped. He had been having homicidal thoughts for a long time, but on that particular day, he decided to bring his dreams and his fantasies into reality. On that morning, Kevin told his mother, Kimberly, that he wanted to unalive himself, and she told him that she couldn't stop him if he wanted to. After hearing this unexpected response from his mother, Kevin went into a rage. He grabbed a cord and attempted to strangle his mother on the couch where she was sitting. But his mom, Kimberly, managed to fight him off, and in a panic, Kevin went into the other room and grabbed a hammer. Now this is where it gets really disturbing, so if you're still here with me and you have a weak stomach, don't keep listening. Kevin then bashed his own mother's skull in with the hammer, hitting her at least 20 times, and he then grabbed a knife from the kitchen and inserted the knife into the head wound. At that point, Kimberly's head was opened up, she had a massive head wound, and her brain was exposed, and Kevin stuck his hand into his own mother's head and played with her brains. He later told detectives that it felt like putty. Now, after his mother was dead, Kevin dragged her corpse into another room and her, which is unbelievably shocking and disgusting. After all this was said and done, he went to a neighbor's house, told them to call 911, told them that he had just murdered someone, and he was arrested without incident. When Kevin ultimately arrived at the police station, he was brutally honest with investigators about his crimes. I listened to the entire interrogation, and I cannot unhear some of the things that he told investigators. It's vile and shocking. But at one point, he smiles at the investigators with a little grin and says, "Yes, I guess I lost my..." to a corpse. After his trial, he was handed down a sentence of life in prison. He's still alive, he's still in Texas right now, and he even admitted to investigators that if he was given the chance, if he were out on the street again, he would kill again. I'm sorry to have to fill your guys' minds with this stuff, but this is a truly disturbing case that I can't stop thinking about because of how horrific it is, and yeah, I cannot believe that this happened.
No words for that case, man. Speechless. Let's look at that.
This case is considered law enforcement's most baffling case. Jason Jolkowski was born on June 24th of 1981. Jason's parents were Jim and Kelly. Jason was incredibly loved, and he would become a big brother when his little brother, Michael, was born. Jason was more of a quiet kid. He didn't really have like a huge group of friends. He was very mindful about the people he let into his life, so he did have a small group of friends, and he was very loyal to them. But Jason was also incredibly intelligent. He had dreams of being a radio DJ, and he did work part-time while he was in college as a DJ, and people said that when he was on radio, he became very peppy and lively. Like, it was a completely different personality. He was very talented at being a DJ. He was currently taking a break from his classes at the community college he was going to in Iowa because his parents simply could not afford it. But he very much planned on going back to school. He had just recently gotten another job that offered tuition reimbursement, and he was very excited to continue his studies so he could become a radio DJ. But on top of wanting to be a radio DJ, he also was very religious and talked about maybe one day becoming a priest. Jason was not the kind of kid that was involved in partying or drugs. He was a very studious and responsible young man. But before he was starting this new job, he was currently working a job at Fazoli's. On June 13th of 2001, Jason was called into work. His boss called him and asked if he would come into work early that day at Fazoli's. Jason agreed to this, but his car was currently in the shop getting work done to it, so he told his boss that he would just walk to work, which would have been about 4 miles away from his home in Omaha, Nebraska. But his boss said, we have another person coming in, I can have them come pick you up and take them to work. So Jason agreed to meet with this person at the high school that both him and his coworker had gone to school at. This would have been about 8 blocks away from his house, or half a mile. They agreed to meet at the school at 11 a.m. and the last known sighting of Jason was about 10:45 in the morning when their neighbor saw Jason and his younger brother Michael taking the trash cans from the street back to the garage. This would have been about 10:45. Jason is then seen walking toward his high school right after taking these trash cans back from the curb to the house. And sometime in this 10-minute walk, it would have been about 10 minutes to get from his house to the high school, Jason simply vanishes. We'll get into more in part 2. Give me a couple of minutes to film it and get it up. It'll be down in the
Animal Attacks Part 7, the dude who was attacked by a swarm of raging bees. 23-year-old Alex Bechler and a friend were on a hike in Ussery Mountain Park in Arizona when suddenly, without provoke, a swarm of bees suddenly attacked them. The aggressive swarm of bees stung Alex more than 1,000 times. His friend was able to flee and hide in a nearby bathroom. Several people tried to help Alex as he lay on the ground swarmed with these bees, but every time the bees would drive the people away. A sheriff finally used a UTV to get close enough to him, and still covered in bees, he grabbed Alex and fled with the bees pursuing. Once at the hospital, Alex was pronounced dead.
Man.
Creepy videos that you shouldn't watch at night, but you're going to anyway. Part 10. I just held up 5. What the fuck? And for my dark web lovers, you will love this video because this one actually surfaced on the dark web. Also, I might be going on a TV show. I got contacted by a company to make a TV show on Discovery Channel pretty much about dark web and creepy videos, so thank you guys. So make sure to show some love so we can get him to see it. I just knocked my lights out. Alright, the video has since been deleted, but people actually downloaded it, so I'm just on YouTube. So this is in binary code. If anybody wants to decode that, please let me know. This video is pretty scary, so let's watch. What the fuck?
What's he wearing?
Oh, hell no. Here's the full binary code, so just save the video. So if you guys need help sleeping at night, click the link in my bio. And once you click the link, click on Get a Peaceful Sleep, and it's an app, download it, and you will get the most peaceful sleep of your life.
I don't know what the hell.
Scary facts that will blow your mind. Part 2. The Hoia Baciu Forest is considered the most haunted forest in all of Romania. Hundreds of people have gone missing within these woods, among other things like screams, laughter, babies crying, people being attacked by unseen paranormal forces, strange balls of light, UFOs, and in the very center of the forest lies a clearing where no plant life will grow. It is believed that this spot is a portal to another dimension. What do you think? Like and follow for more.
They need to freaking shut down that whole forest, man. You hear him screaming laughter, bro. That whole spot, where that little circle spot where it's just like nothing else is going on. I feel like that's just like a portal, man, with some bad energy around there. Close it down.
Interesting people you've never heard of. This fisherman survived 6 hours in freezing water after his ship sank. He then walked near lava fields for 3 hours barefoot, and when he returned to safety, there were no signs of hypothermia, even though he was just wearing a shirt and jeans. Frank Hart was the first black athlete on a sports card back in 1880. This environmental activist climbed an over 1,000-year-old tree and didn't come back down for over 2 years. This farm boy from Idaho came up with the idea for an electronic television while he was plowing a field at 14 years old. This Italian banker over a 7-year period diverted over €1 million to his poorer clients from the wealthier clients so that they could qualify for loans. He made no profit and avoided jail in 2018 due to a plea bargain. This physician proved that yellow fever could be transmitted through a mosquito bite and unfortunately passed away from that mosquito bite just 17 days later.
He was dedicated to show the truth, man. He's a seeker of the truth for real.
This is known as the doll that aged. The doll used to look like this and was played with by a couple of kids, but then they started to grow up, so the doll was just locked away in the attic for like 14 years. So then as the parents went up to the attic to like clean it out, they were shocked to find the doll look like this.
How the hell is the doll aging?
Disturbing things Disneyland doesn't want you to know. A few years ago in Disney World, Florida, a little boy was snatched by a crocodile, and his remains were found a few hours later in a lake next to the park. Apparently the kid was just next to the water when the crocodile ate him up. Next, did you know that Disneyland has only closed 3 times throughout history? They were when JFK was shot, after a massive earthquake in 1994, and on September 11th, 2001. So let's just say they count on keeping their parks open for as long as possible. And finally, some rumors say that the skulls on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride are actually real human skulls. And if that's real, that is pretty messed up.
Fun fact, never been in Disney World ever.
Did you guys hear about the 34-year-old teacher that was essaying a 13-year-old student, and it turns out that they possibly have a 5-year-old child together? I'm at the point where this stuff doesn't even surprise me anymore because it's been happening so often lately. This woman's name is Laura Karen, and she was a 5th grade teacher in Middle Township Elementary School in New Jersey. So this whole thing started when Laura became the victim's teacher in the 5th grade. Laura and the victim's mother became friends, got to know each other, and she offered to take care of her kids. The victim, who was 11 years old at the time, was staying at Laura's house with his siblings regularly. Now, the kids went from going to Laura's house every day to then actually staying there permanently. It was said the kids did not go home anymore and they basically lived in Laura's house from 2016 to 2020. During that time, the 11-year-old was being essayed by Laura and allegedly they have a child together. Then fast forward a few years later, the victim's father saw a photo of Laura's child on Facebook and he said, "This kid looks a lot like my son." He called police and an investigation began and Laura was arrested, but they're still waiting on the DNA results. Now, when the siblings were asked if they saw anything weird going on in the house, they said that Laura and their brother slept in her bed every single night. And not only that, but apparently they also showered together and they caught Laura essaying him one night. The siblings also said that when this baby was born, they knew that this was their brother's child, but they were told not to say anything because then Laura would get in trouble. And you guys won't believe this, but Laura was just released from jail until her next court date. This should be a wake-up call to people who leave their kids with literally just anyone. A lot of people believe that just because someone's a teacher, you can fully trust them, but what you may not know is that a lot of predators get positions that revolve around children just so that it's easier to get away with this kind of stuff.
Interesting people you've never heard
Can't trust
of.
anybody.
This dude ran out of gas in rural Maine in 1986 and then spent the next 27 years living isolated in the woods. This man was killed on a street in Brooklyn just before midnight on 9/11/2001, making him the sole victim of murders on that day because New York does not count the 9/11 attacks in its crime statistics, and his murder remains unsolved. This convicted Japanese war criminal recreated his prison cell at home because he believed that his 10-year sentence was too short, and he stayed there till he passed away. This professional swimmer retired due to lung complications after saving 20 people from debris-filled waters. Japan welcomed their first female fighter pilot in 2018 after she was inspired by Top Gun as a child. This basketball player slammed his head into a concrete post after he was frustrated getting his 5th foul and ultimately was never able to walk again.
Disturbing facts that will ruin your day. Firstly, you know these vacuum toilets that are most commonly used on planes and cruise ships? Well, there have been many reports of them sucking the rectum out of people when they flush. Next, this is just disappointing. 1 in 4 Americans actually believe that the sun rotates around the earth. Now, studies show that the average person will wait 5 months of their lifetime for red lights to turn green. You know when you're watching a movie or TV show and you hear these laugh tracks in the background? Well, most of them were recorded in the 50s, so you're hearing dead people laugh. This will ruin your childhood. The Red Power Ranger, Ricardo Medina, pleaded guilty to killing his roommate with a sword. Finally, you are now closer to death than you were when you started this video.
They ruin the Power Rangers for us, man. Who watched that when you was a kid, bro? Man, what's up with these actors, bro? It's like, once they lose their gig, it's over.
Disney princesses' gloves. Take a look at all the Disney princesses. Some are wearing gloves, some aren't. You'll notice that all the ones who aren't wearing gloves are commoners who married into royalty. Boo's real name in Monsters, Inc. is Mary. And this is the same as the young girl who voices Boo. Her name is Mary Gibbs. And her name is only visible when she's in their apartment and they're making drawings and her name is on the paper. Bambi only uses 72 unique words throughout the entire film. And in total, there are only about 900 words spoken throughout the entire thing as well. To get Robin Williams to play the genie in Aladdin, animators created a sequence of the genie performing Robin Williams stand-up routines. And this was one of the ways they pulled in Robin Williams for this part. Simba literally means lion. In Swahili, Simba directly translates to lion.
I never do that. What the hell? So his name is his name.
Only kids can hear this sound. So scientists discovered a sound they believe only kids can hear. The name of the sound is mosquito tone and it is at a frequency of 17 kilohertz. This is the sound. Let me know if you can hear it.
In 3, 2, 1.
So
I don't.
Did you hear the sound? Of one.
Did Doja Cat sell her soul and now she's in the Illuminati? She recently celebrated her 27th birthday with the Illuminati-themed party, and they say when you sell your soul, like the devil takes something from you. Watch this clip, it's weird. That that clip is not from her birthday party, but basically she's making all these weird faces. We know her music is a little symbolic, but just watch this other clip of her looking like she's glitching, she's glaring off into space. It's weird.
Yo, check out Doja Cat here. Tell me she on timeout. Looks like she just... Yo, what happened to her?
She glitched.
Yo, she glitched.
Celebrities are kind of weird. Like, we've seen Cardi B space out in the middle of interviews, but when you're winning an award, that seems like a time when you shouldn't be, like, spacey. What do you guys think about this? Do you think she sold her soul?
Man, people in the industry, you know, some, like I said, her music is, like, symbolic, so... But to say that she had a birthday party and that was the theme, I don't know if that's just, like, trying to be hidden in plain sight, or she's just trying to, you know, like, try to, you know, reflect that narrative back and just trying to, you know, be like, oh, it's just a party. It's everywhere, man.
Times when jokes backfired big time. In 2006, the high-end water Fiji ran an ad campaign jokingly saying the label says Fiji because it's not bottled in Cleveland. Well, the city of Cleveland, Ohio saw this and were offended because what did they ever do to deserve this? So rightfully, the city of Cleveland tested their tap water and found that it was actually cleaner and tastier than Fiji water. Next, several years ago, a California man jokingly got a personalized license plate that read no and thought it would trick the database, so whenever he got a ticket, it would register as no, meaning nothing. Well, the problem with that is, anytime there was an error on anyone else's license plate, they assigned it to him. He got $12,000 in fines.
Try to trick the system, ain't work.
This post made me think, what animal am I glad that I don't have to deal with? I'm cool with most animals, but I think I draw the line at bears, especially grizzly bears. And so the idea of the giant, short-faced bear is something I definitely find frightening. These were like grizzly bears, but much bigger. These were found in the Americas and went extinct towards the end of the last ice age.
Ooh.
So around 12,000 years ago. I don't know what it is about bears, but there's something about them that freaks me out more than any other animal. I'm not really sure why. Maybe one of my ancestors got chomped. As always, come talk on my Discord. You could even suggest content. Though the stickers are getting a little questionable. Info on my Discord in pinned.
Which animals are y'all glad that went extinct? Maybe the dinos for me. Could you guys imagine dinosaurs roaming the earth right now? Especially with the T-Rex. Nah.
Has anybody ever told you the terrifying true story of Snow White? I'm sure by now we all know the Disney version, but the Brothers Grimm version, which came before the Disney version, is actually much darker. In this version, the evil queen orders the huntsman to take Snow White into the woods, kill her, and bring back her liver and lungs for the queen to eat. Which is obviously very disturbing, but there's actually more to the story. Later in the story, the prince and Snow White are getting married, and they invite all the royalty in the land. The evil queen shows up, unknowing it was her stepdaughter's wedding. When she arrives, she's forced to step into burning hot iron shoes brought from the fireplace, and then she has to dance until she dies. And that's her punishment for trying to go after Snow White. I don't really feel bad for her, but gosh, I mean, this version is terrifying.
What's something small that completely changed the course of history? I'll go first. If not for a wobbly chair, we probably wouldn't have Social Security today. Giuseppe Zangara was an Italian immigrant who came to America in the 1920s for a better life. But he had a condition with his gallbladder that caused him immense pain and made him often unable to work. At the height of the Great Depression, there is a political rally near where Giuseppe lives in Miami. Giuseppe is a desperate man, and he was also a marksman in the Italian army. However, he was also only 5 feet tall, so he needs to stand on a wobbly metal chair in order to see over the crowd and get a good aim at President-elect Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Giuseppe fires 5 shots, but because the chair is wobbly, he hits the mayor of Miami instead of FDR. This was FDR's vice president at the time, John Nance Carter, a conservative Democrat from Texas who opposed New Deal policies like Social Security. And if it weren't for a wobbly chair, he would have been president instead of FDR.
Whoa. Change the course of history.
What is the
She
craziest
needs
thing
justice.
someone's
confess to on their deathbed. Well, a deathbed confession made this year solved a 20-year-old cold case. And this is coming from the Heart Starts Pounding podcast episode that's all about cold cases that were solved this year. So this year in West Virginia, a man named Larry Webb was dying. And before he died, he called a nurse over and said he needed to get it off his chest that he killed a woman and her daughter back in 2000. It turns out that back then, a woman named Susan Carter and her 10-year-old daughter Alex were living with Larry while Susan was in a custody battle with Alex's father. And one day they just disappeared, but because they were together when they disappeared, police assumed that Susan just ran away with her daughter. But Larry confirmed that that's not what happened. The story he gave on his deathbed is that one day he came home to see that Susan was stealing money from him, and so he shot her. And then panicking, he wanted to get rid of all the witnesses, and that included Alex, her daughter. And to me, the craziest thing in all of this is that Larry had really bad dementia, so when he gave this confession, they weren't really convinced that it was true. But the day after he died, both of their remains were found in his backyard. If you want to hear more on that story and other cold cases that were solved this year, check out the Cold Cases That Were Solved This Year episode of the Heart Starts Pounding podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
When it's the end, man. When the end is near, people, that's when they want to tell the truth, I guess, you know. Get it off their chest. I'm burdened.
The world's most dangerous conspiracy theories. This picture represents conspiracy theories from the most well-known to the darkest. Some of these theories say once you learn the truth, there's no return. For this series, we're going to be picking some from each category until we reach Tier 10, the point of no return. Tier 10 is so scary that some people are saying that I will die before I even reach Tier 10. Okay, Tier 1. Today we're going to be talking about cryptozoology. Cryptozoology is defined as the search for animals whose existence is disputed. For example, Bigfoot, Chupacabra, and the Loch Ness Monster. For this one, I'm going to talk about the Ningen. The Ningen is based in Japan, and it's an aquatic humanoid creature that can be larger than a whale but also mutate into a human. I know what you're thinking. No way this is real. I thought the same thing until I saw this. In 2007, a company published a magazine with Ningens on the cover. The magazines were completely destroyed with no trace, but I found the PDF file of what it looked like. It gets even weirder. Early February 2013, a huge mysterious object washes ashore that makes locals freak out. 3 days later, the website was taken down without a trace. Doing some more research, I found out that people from Japan created a forum page talking about all of the government corruption that was happening. They then began to speak on the Ningen, and somebody says that he was on the research ship when they captured it on camera, and then government officials raided the boat and even supposedly killing some of the people. 3 days later, the forum page was taken down without a trace, but I found it once again, and take a look at one of the videos somebody posted. So what do you think? Is this Ningen just some myth, or is the government hiding something much darker? This was only Tier 1. Make sure to follow to see Tier 2 because we have a lot more to cover.
Did you know
some truth to that?
Forks were used in ancient China, which were then replaced by chopsticks. It has rained more in Los Angeles this year than in Seattle. Your red blood cells only live about 120 days. Coke had 3 different opportunities 100 years ago to buy Pepsi and refused every single time. Christmas lights used to be a status symbol because they would often be rented instead of bought because they were so expensive. This river in the Amazon has boiling water. Australia has the highest skin cancer rate in the world. Angel Falls in Venezuela is the highest uninterrupted waterfall in the world. The Eiffel Tower can be taller by about 15 centimeters in the summer due to the increased temperatures expanding the metal. It only took Lady Gaga 10 minutes each to write Poker Face, Born This Way, and Just Dance. The Cubs 2016 World Series ring includes an engraving of the Billy Goat that was refused entry in the 1945 World Series, which caused the owner to lay a curse on the team.
One of my favorite Saw traditions is back. For those who don't know, for every Saw movie that comes out, they have a Saw blood drive. It's a partnership with the Red Cross. They did it for the very first Saw movie as a way to promote the film. If you come and give us some blood, we give you free tickets to see the movie. But the original filmmakers saw how successful this was. They saw how many people came out to donate blood, and they decided they wanted to do it again, but just to mostly help people than anything. And they did this for the Saw movies 1 through 8. And by the time Saw 8, aka Jigsaw, finished its promotional campaign, over 360,000 total lives have been saved because of the Saw franchise. I did make a video talking about this back in 2021. Wow, the difference a few years makes. They had to skip over the blood drive for Spiral, I'm assuming because of COVID-related reasons, but now it's back for Saw X, and the posters look so good. They're also advertising all blood types are accepted from all people.
Gas station towns and cities set up. This might actually be a fake town / city set up by the elite. Why would there be cars parked at the gas pump and they have dust on them? So they've been there a while. and nobody's around. As always, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Stay weird.
You shouldn't go
That's
through
very
life any
weird.
longer without knowing this. There was a 9-foot great white shark back in 2003 that was tagged by scientists. Just a couple of months after this, the tag was found by a beach 2.5 miles from where the shark was originally tagged. When they pulled the data from the tag, it showed that the great white abruptly dove to depths of 2,000 feet and lower, which means something else swallowed that 9-foot shark whole and went down to the bottom of the ocean. There was a man who hired his neighbor to impregnate his wife and then sued him after 72 failed attempts. He paid $2,500 for his neighbor. Okay. Tom Cruise has been blacklisted from buying a Bugatti. He's actually apparently been banned since 2006 because on the red carpet, he struggled to open the passenger side door in front of cameras, and that moment was everywhere. So now he's on a do not sell list for the entire company. That's kind of hilarious. Chris Hansen was on a podcast a couple of months ago and was asked the question, have you ever caught a female predator? And he said never.
Hey everybody, so we've got airports shutting down, pilots reporting mysterious glowing objects and radar signals vanishing into thin air. This is all happening in Turkey. They've been experiencing some bizarre UAP encounters lately. So check this out. Flights at Sabiha Gökçen Airport, sorry if I butchered that, in Istanbul were disrupted due to pilots reporting unidentified objects on their radar systems. These anomalies even triggered collision avoidance warnings, prompting extensive but inconclusive searches by authorities. Also, in a separate incident, a pilot near Gaziantep Airport, again, sorry if I butchered it, spotted a bright glowing object in the sky that wasn't visible on the radar. This sighting led to a temporary shutdown of the whole airport and a massive search operation, but the object vanished without a trace. So, while some are speculating these events obviously could be due to drone activity or atmospheric phenomena, no definitive explanations have been provided as of yet, and authorities continue to investigate to ensure aviation safety. Stay tuned for any updates. If I get some, I'll let you know.
So some problems going on around the Turkey airport. I've been seeing a lot more UAP videos, man, on TikTok, bro. So I don't know what it's about 2025, man. We see a whole lot of alien activity there, bro. Or if they unconfirmed it, man. We're going to dive deep into that rabbit hole one day. We got lizard people and the catacombs? Of course it's the Matrix. Just being blind to it. The underground cities now too? Or is that connected to the catacombs?
Okay, everybody's noticing that 3I Atlas, the new interstellar comet, it doesn't have a tail. There is a reason, and here's why. So between October 1st and the 7th, the European Space Agency, which is the footage you're seeing here, its ExoMars and Mars Express orbiters tracked it from about 30 million kilometers away. That fuzzy glow that you see, that's the coma, which is gas and dust boiling off the object's icy surface. But there's no visible tail, obviously, at least in a traditional sense, because it's still too far from the sun for solar radiation to push out material off the comet. As 3I Atlas moves closer to the sun, and it's supposed to hit its nearest point on October 29th, heat and solar wind should technically ignite a full tail, which they're saying will stretch millions of kilometers, which is crazy. If the nucleus survives that close pass, then we'll finally see that whole thing light up. 3I Atlas is only the third interstellar comet that's ever been found, and it might be older than our solar system itself, which is mind-blowing. And here's a fun little tidbit. Even capturing this faint blur was like spotting a phone on the moon. That's how dim it was. So anyway, the next time someone asks, why does this 3I Atlas not have a tail like a traditional comet, tell them it's still waking up. But when it does, we might be watching history form in real time. So it's technically still sleeping, but it's going to wake up.
When was the last time you saw Miley Cyrus? Why do I ask? because she was featured in a Gucci ad, and she is now completely unrecognizable.
Another one?
If you haven't seen the photo, take a look at this. Who is that in the Gucci ad? Does that look like Miley Cyrus to you? This is not the Miley Cyrus I remember seeing on TV. Do you? What is going on with Miley Cyrus? This is the Miley Cyrus I'm used to seeing, and I'm sure many of you are. Take a look at this side by side. That's the Gucci ad. That's Miley Cyrus. What is going on with Miley Cyrus? So the question needs to be asked. Has Hollywood claimed another celebrity? This is the Miley Cyrus we're all used to seeing. So my question to you is, who is this Miley Cyrus? As I always say in all of my videos, I understand that people age and people can change.
Yeah.
But what is going on with Miley Cyrus? So I guess my question to you is, has Hollywood claimed another celebrity? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, I'd love to hear from you.
New York is facing a serious problem right now. This year, the city has seen a very concerning rise in real-life subway surfing. You heard that right. In fact, just this past weekend, 2 teenage girls were found dead on top of a train at the Marcy Avenue station in Brooklyn. They were only 12 and 13 years old. Problem is, this isn't even the first time this has happened recently. 5 people have died this year alone as a result of similar incidents across the city. And while this has been around for decades, real-life subway surfing has far transcended just being a dangerous game or stunt, because now it's become one of the most deadly social media trends online. In fact, this video is allegedly of one of the girls just days before she died filming one of her stunts. And not only that, but according to New York officials, over 1,800 subway surfing videos have had to be removed from social media in just the first half of 2025. It's even reached the point where police are now deploying drones to try and spot these surfers before they get hurt. Thankfully, this has already led to over 200 rescues. But the question is, how do you even stop something like this before even more lives are taken?
Kris Jenner
has
reversed her aging process, y'all. Make sure you like and share. Look how she looked, y'all. She reversed her aging. Most likely she went under the knife, right? She showed no scars of it. You know what they be doing in Hollywood, though. I can't say too much. When is the last time she had a baby? How old is her oldest? No babies around, right? Y'all, she literally looked like she about 28, 30. And I'm just trying to figure out how. I need y'all to leave y'all thoughts in the comments on what do you think is really going on? What do you notice? This shit is crazy, fool. This is 2007. This is 2025. She really is pulling off the Benjamin Button. Fool, that don't even look like the same person. I'm not even gonna capture you. How do we know these the same people? Do we? Nigga, that's a miracle, fool. Like, even the chest area is different. I understand you can get makeovers on the face. But the chest? What? I need answers. Somebody let me know in the comments.
This world is officially cooked. They're saying that men don't need women to have babies anymore. You ain't just hear what I just said, right? They're saying that they made a way for a man not to need a woman to have a baby anymore. And you don't believe me, right? Look at this shit. Listen to this shit right here.
A baby without a woman's DNA. American scientists have created
What are you guys doing?
human embryos by putting DNA from skin into a donor egg. This new egg has just 23 chromosomes from the skin
What are y'all
cell,
doing?
and that can be fertilized by IVF with the 23 chromosomes from the sperm, making a full set.
A lot of y'all gonna jump on here and say the world is just advanced. I'ma say technology keeps finding a way to play with God. Mind you, scientists know, and they said already that this is unethical. And the embryos that they're making, they're destroying. So what are you doing? If you're destroying embryos, isn't the embryos that you destroy alike? So now I gotta ask myself, what's the end goal? Now ask yourself, is this a good thing or a bad thing? And then after you ask yourself that, ask yourself what would Jesus do? We're in a world where man continues to test his limits. You're not satisfied with anything that you've been blessed with. You have scientists trying to put our consciousness into robots so we can live forever. If we were supposed to live forever, don't you think God would have made that possible? Y'all keep playing. Keep playing, and you're gonna find yourself in a wonderful space that you don't want to be in. I'm out.
Hold on, y'all.
Keep pushing the limit.
Of the 4 horses of the apocalypse a little concerning. Let's just go through them real quick. We have the white horse. There's the white horse who goes out conquering and to conquer. He has a crown on his head and he has a bow. There's the red horse, and he is coming to take peace from the earth with a sword, and it will be great violence and bloodshed and war. There's a black horse that symbolizes famine and hardship and economic collapse, and he carries a scale. Then there's the pale horse, which is a little green, that symbolizes death, and Hades follows behind it. They're given authority to kill through sword, pestilence, and all these different famines all over the earth. Now, did y'all notice something?
You know what else is under the authority of the crown?
What?
Disney World in Orlando, Florida.
What does that mean? How?
Ron DeSantis was trying to take away their self-governing, because Disney has always been like a self-governing entity within Florida, so they don't pay taxes, the taxes that major businesses and do stuff in Florida do. Like, they started getting into politics. Disney was like, if you're going to get into politics, let's get into politics. But Ron DeSantis lost that battle because it came out that Disney's like, hey, why don't you just read this piece of paper that we have? It says, we are under the Royal Family Clause, which basically means Disney World within Florida is technically owned by the royal family of England.
How?
I don't know how that works either.
I don't know how they did it. They did some sort of exchange. I tried to do a ton of research.
Did they fund it?
They would have had to have given the land to the crown, and now it's protected.
Yeah, they basically said the U.S. cannot tax what is the royal family's.
Why? Why do they own U.S. land? Get out of here!
Yeah.
Come on!
Baseball.
That's kind of crazy to think about. I'm gonna have to do some research on that, man. The royal family owns Disney World or Disneyland in Florida? That sounds like cap, bro. But if they do, that's some interesting rabbit hole that I need to go down.
So, the origins might be mine. How? What? Throwing it and hitting a bat? Everything about baseball is very related to the Freemasons. The diamond they play on is in what shape? It's in the same shape of the compass in the Freemason logo. Oh. Now, back this, what is the degree of that angle in that diamond? What is it? 33 degrees. Why? Because 33 is the highest level you can go in Freemasonry. No. Remember? The MLB baseball bats, they're 33 inches in length and 33 ounces in weight. Yes, fam. Also, the threads on the baseball itself, there's 33 on each line. Theory was they made it as homage to the Freemasons or whatever ritualistic things they want to get into. What's being talked about right now is how every sport references what god or what deity. What? Remember we were talking about the cowhead is named ball. Baseball. Yo, think about that. Baseball. Basketball, man. Yeah. It might actually be something more than we think.
AI just perfected animation. Now animation studios have finally responded to Sora V2. So people have been using Sora V2 to make new episodes of animation shows, as well as being able to blend real life and animation shows together, as well as shows with 2 different animation styles, such as Hood SpongeBob, real life Gaku getting arrested. Somebody even made their own version of the show, Attack of the Titans, a realistic Michael Jackson stealing fried chicken. And for those who don't know, Michael Jackson is not alive anymore, yet these videos look more realer than real life. But this is where it gets so much more worse. A lot of people love this because they're able to make their own version of their most favorite shows, where if you make it yourself, it can take literally minutes to do versus studios take over years, because a lot of people love AI art. However, now even more insaner, animation studios have finally clapped back to this, as Sora V2 has been using copyrighted characters such as SpongeBob and One Punch Man, and it's very odd that although no studio has made a public statement on this issue yet, as OpenAI has now given studios the option to opt out of their copyrighted image use. Do we need more AI laws?
I think there's something in the water, or there's something going on in the air right now, y'all. Because these type of videos I'm coming across where people are walking and running on all fours like it's normal are insane, y'all. And there is, it's like, what universe am I in? Y'all, there's even a Guinness Book of World Record for this now, man. A Japanese man ran 100 meters on all fours in under 15 seconds. Look at this man getting it on all fours in under 15 seconds, y'all. He was so happy.
What the hell?
This music I'm playing, this man right here specifically has been training his body for this. For the past 300 days, he has been going under an intense regimen, blood, sweat, and tears, just for this moment so he can run on all fours. Y'all check this out.
This is day 300 of walking on all fours every day. Heat was definitely a factor today, but since it's the last episode of season 10, I wanted to get outside and do something fun. I started off with some laps, and I still can't believe how much more smooth this looks and feels. I think I'm really starting to get the hang of it. I've been preparing to transition from running to all fours, so I gave that a try. The preparation I've done seems to have paid off because it went surprisingly well. It's crazy to think that in 2 more months I'll have been doing this for over a year.
Bro, this dude literally runs like Nightcrawler. Have y'all ever seen Nightcrawler on X-Men? That's exactly how he runs. And it doesn't stop there, y'all. There is a man who fully transitioned himself into a Dalmatian because his partner or his wife or his girlfriend lost her Dalmatian. This man bought a full synthetic suit. Now he's living the full life of a Dalmatian. This is crazy, y'all. Yo, let's continue to get it.
In the middle of the night. In 1997, a 7-year-old boy and his younger brother had a habit of using the bathroom during the middle of the night. One day, the younger brother said that he was going to start using the bathroom before bed because the past few nights he'd seen a ghost wearing stripes in the middle of the hallway. The older brother told his mom about the ghost, but she claimed that the younger brother was simply trying to scare him. 11 years later, the older boy's mother asked him if he remembered the time that the cops came to the door, but he had no idea what she was talking about. The mother then explained, "You were too young for me to tell you, but one night I woke up and heard noises coming from outside my window. I looked to my left and saw a man staring into my window. She called the cops and described him as a thin white male wearing a striped shirt. Her description matched that of a murderer who had recently escaped from prison. The police reported that he had been living in the house for weeks."
So the boys are right, man. Listen to your kids.
Urban legends caught on camera.
Okay.
We need to talk about this new way that our phones have been able to spy on us. So research recently revealed that our smartphones' ambient light sensors might be used into a camera to take photos of our surrounding areas at all times. And you guys know we pretty much use our smartphones everywhere, so that's pretty concerning. We're constantly hearing of new sneaky ways our phones are being used to steal our data and information without us knowing. And I spend hours on my phone every day researching and editing, so clearly my privacy has been at risk. And this is why it's always recommended to have a security app installed on your phone. To be more safe and protect my privacy, I began using Malwarebytes, which completely protects me from anything sketchy like this. Malwarebytes catches and crushes tons of potential concerns even if you already have an antivirus, anti-malware, or other cybersecurity softwares installed. It also includes a VPN, which is unheard of. Malwarebytes offers web protection, call protection, ad blocking, text protection, and even identity theft protection. At the end of the day, it's important that we have an extra layer of protection on our phones because you all know we keep so much on these things. This app is available for download on iOS and Android, both offering a 7-day free trial, so stay safe and make sure devices are properly protected.
What do you guys think, man? You think you guys' phones are spying on you? I personally think so, man. I need to freaking get that Malwarebytes on my phone immediately, bro. Think about it. We're on our phone all day, man. You don't want nobody snooping through your personal data. Protect yourself, seekers. Who are you walking to?
How different animals look when wet. Koala. Sloth.
Damn.
Snow monkey. Owl.
That's not no damn owl no more.
Cat.
What the fuck?
Rabbit.
They like morph into something else.
Hamster. Dog. Squirrel.
Get a mohawk.
How long has it been since these things happened in the world? Firstly, believe it or not, but the last time an asteroid has impacted Earth was just 42 days ago, when a small asteroid was detected in Earth's atmosphere over the Pacific Ocean. Next, the last time all of humanity was together on Earth and not in space was 8,804 days ago. That's way longer than I expected. Now, the last time an earthquake happened, as I'm recording this, was just 15 minutes ago. It was small, but surprisingly, on average, there's around 55 earthquakes each day. Moving on, according to online resources, the last time a nuclear weapon was lost was 13,030 days ago. Finally, the last time a GTA game was released was 4,100 days ago, and yet still no GTA 6.
Crazy things happening in the world right now. While a cruise ship was tilting for more than 5 minutes, they played My Heart Will Go On from the movie Titanic. A 21-year-old woman from Texas was charged for attempting to sell her newborn on Facebook Marketplace. A man actually attempted to rob a bank with only a pillowcase over his head, forgetting to cut out the eye holes. A woman's driverless taxi was blocked by a man who was asking for her phone number. A boy that was abducted from California at age 6 has been found more than 70 years later. Goldfish changed its name to Chilean sea bass for 1 week to attract more adults. A couple in Australia actually came home to find a koala in their bed. A woman in New Orleans actually stole an ambulance that still had EMTs and a patient inside. A man who was declared brain dead woke up right before they started the surgery to donate his organs. After knocking on the wrong door in Ohio, an 80-year-old man was attacked by the resident with a machete, which then he pulled out nunchucks to defend himself.
Nobody has been able to explain this creepy viral video. For the past 11 years, a man who runs a TikTok account by the name of Dude, My House is Haunted has been pretty confident that there has been some paranormal activity within his home. He claims that ever since his wife passed away, there have been some strange and unusual things going on. So eventually, he decided to leave cameras out and record what was happening and post it onto TikTok, which is the footage that you are about to see. In this video, you can see a chair seemingly moving on its own. It moves somewhat slowly until it suddenly is violently pulled into the corner by the kitchen. A mysterious, shadowy figure can be seen moving behind the chair, and then suddenly out of nowhere, the chair is thrown into the kitchen. Now, of course, we're not really sure what happened in this video, but I'm having a hard time coming up with an explanation for this one.
That it? Could be.
The man you just saw in that video jump into the water would never come back out alive. Identified only as Alexander online, this incident happened in Ukraine and was a part of the Epiphany ice bath celebrations. This is a tradition in countries like Russia, where Christians cut holes in ice and jump into icy cold rivers to cleanse themselves of sinful filth inside of blessed water. In 2022, 40-year-old lawyer Anna Uskova died from a similar incident. She jumped into the water, disappeared quickly into the darkness, and her body wasn't found. This man, Alexander, suffered a similar fate. He dug a hole in the ice using a chainsaw. He then asks his wife to film the video. He makes a cross on his chest, and then he jumps in. Sadly, even though they called for help right away and a rescue team was sent out, Alexander's body was lost under the ice in the icy water for over a day, but he was found the next day 70 feet away from the shore. He had plunged 13 feet below the ice and drowned in the cold waters. This is another just sad, tragic tale, and a horrific event that was sadly caught on camera.
People are only just figuring
edit.
out how bad this movie actually was.
The horror classic The Shining released back in 1980 and since then has been one of the biggest horror movies of all time. But the amount of stuff that happened to the actors on set and the actual set is mind-blowing. I thought everybody knew this stuff, but for some reason it's resurfacing and everyone's going crazy. The most famous part of the film is what happened to actor Shelley Duvall. She literally went through hell whilst filming this movie. Everybody knows about the staircase scene. She was made to shoot 127 times. But as a result of all of these takes, her hands were shredded raw from holding the bat. Her voice was gone, her eyes went extremely puffy from crying so much, and she left in an absolute mess. She was also reportedly treated extremely unfairly behind the scenes. She was isolated, lines were cut, she was constantly being looked down upon, more things that I can't even say. The film's shooting was supposed to last 17 weeks, but turned into nearly a whole year. The area in the maze where the chase scene was set was basically filled with gas all day, so people were made to wear gas masks, reportedly. And one of the craziest things, near the end of production, a massive fire burned down many of the sets. And I'm sure most people know about the other stuff. But let me know which one you want next.
These are terrifying things that scientists said could happen in the future. Up first, scientists said in 13,000 years, the Earth could be on its reversal axis, meaning that summer would become winter, and winter would become summer, which would cause just absolute havoc to any living thing on Earth. Next up, about 1 million years in the future, Earth will be drowning in lava. Earth will undergo a supervolcanic eruption, which would be devastating. Glass will then no longer exist on Earth, and the only thing that will possibly be standing is Mount Rushmore. Finally, in 10,000 years, scientists say majority of land on Earth will be covered in water. This is because the sea level will rise and just overflow onto the land. This is extremely scary, but good thing we won't be alive for it.
It's flooding? You guys believe any of that?
Scariest mythical creatures caught on camera.
Japan, Tiki Tiki. Skinwalker. Chupacabra, isn't that like a shapeshifter? Shoot that. Seeing some videos about that.
You won't believe what this man was caught doing with a corpse. 46-year-old Randall Bird was caught doing inappropriate things to a corpse while he was working his shift as a security guard at the Banner University Medical Center in Phoenix. Randall's job was to bring deceased bodies to the hospital's morgue and slip them into the freezer. But during his shift, coworkers walked in on him and caught Randall inside the freezer with his zipper down, his uniform looking messy, and a body bag open. He was seen almost on top of the 79-year-old deceased woman, and when the workers walked in, he quickly tried to cover the body. The workers said that Randall looked so sweaty and nervous when they caught him, and his excuse was that he had a medical emergency and he almost passed out. His co-workers did not believe a single word and reported the incident. When Randall was interviewed by police a few days later, he basically just said the same story and said that he couldn't remember much of what happened. But not long after, investigators found his DNA on the woman's body, which proves that Randall was in fact doing what we all assumed. He was arrested and now faces multiple charges.
People are sick, man. Couldn't just let that woman rest in peace. Had to disturb her. You never know who's a weirdo, man. Or a sicko at that.
And sing this little song. Run, run, run,
Here's some tricks that give you power over your body. Part 2.
If your arms ever fall asleep, all you have to do is just move your head around for a couple seconds and the feeling will go away. If you find it hard to swallow big pills, all you have to do is just lean your head forward when you're swallowing it. The pill should float to the back of your throat and be really easy to swallow. If you ever feel your body's going to overheat from the scorching sun, just pour cold water over your wrists and your entire body should cool down. And when you're cutting onions, you can just move your tongue to the roof of your mouth to not cry.
Really? I need to try that when I'm cutting onions, man. I'm gonna use that. You learn it. Edit. You spot those easy.
The spirits in this house tried to lead me into a trap. This is one of the most haunted homes in Minnesota, the Warden's house in Stillwater. The spirits in this home are very active, especially if you ring this bell that was once owned by the minister pictured in the portrait above. During an investigation, somebody rang that bell and the portrait fell off of the wall, so of course we had to ring it. The history of this house is pretty interesting. It was lived in by 13 different wardens from a nearby prison, and multiple people have died inside of the home. But the most active part of this building is in the upstairs, specifically in the children's room. The legend of this house involves a woman named Gertrude. Gertrude gave birth to a child, but then shortly afterwards she died. And to this day, people report seeing her wandering the halls, especially upstairs, looking for her lost baby. There's a lot of creepy stuff in this house, like this outfit and actual locks of hair from the boy in the portrait that I just showed you. But the spookiest object is this doll. During our investigation, the tour guide actually had to go to the back room to bring this doll out. She told us that she keeps the doll in the very back of the house because it's so haunted. And in the past, she said the doll has typed out messages on people's phones. There's also this bed that a young man died in from tuberculosis. This is him in the portrait. So let me know, would you spend the night in this haunted house? Our full investigation from this place is on YouTube now.
People are freaking out after just realizing what happened on the Annabelle film set. Bet you 100 you didn't know this. I'm pretty sure most of you know who this doll is and the film she is from. Doesn't matter if you've seen the film or not, you probably know the main premise of the story.
Yeah.
Now what most people know as well is that there is a real life Annabelle doll doesn't look anything like the one in the film. But while the shooting of this film was taking place, some pretty bad things actually happened on the set. This was reported in the filming of every single one of the Annabelle films. Reportedly, the doll would randomly move. There would be lights flickering, plates and glasses smashing, completely random, which the producer and actors on set said they thought was just a complete prank, but no one ever owned up and still hasn't. Yet Starfin, the producer, came forward, said in particular there was one day where they were shooting the demon for the first time. The demon walks out and enters into the green room again. The entire ceiling of glass light features fell down and smashed on his head. Many other actors, as I say, claiming the doll would move. But apparently in one scene the crew were laughing because the doll just appeared in front of them, thinking one of the actors moved it, but the actors were not there and no one moved the doll.
I just want to say,
bad energy, man.
I miss my son. My son didn't have to go through this. I didn't have to go through this either. It hurts. Really, really hurts. What are we going to do, people? What's going to happen to us now? I had enough of this. The system is rigged.
This is one of the most disturbing and unexplainable autopsy reports
Is he lying?
I've ever seen. In 1988, in the Billings Reservoir in Sao Paulo, there was this urban legend of a body that showed up. It definitely happened, somebody did find it, however, the crime scene was pretty much closed within a day. Like, news reporters weren't talking about it, it wasn't in the press, so it became the stuff of legend. Then allegedly, in the mid-90s, somebody working in the government released photos and an autopsy report about that body. They are extremely graphic. Let me just explain to you how strange this corpse was. The body was found to have almost all of the skin surgically removed on the lower half of the face, specifically near the jaw. Eyes, eyelids, tongue, and one of the ears had also been surgically removed. Perfectly circular puncture wounds, like surgical holes in the body, which they determined the organs and some of the muscle had been sucked out of using some kind of device. To this day, there is really no verifiable explanation for what actually happened to this person. And for additional details on this, I will be covering it on the show.
Curtain number 1. Gotta be careful when you travel, man. We learn watching these videos, bro, how valuable organs are on the black market, man. They go for a lot of money.
Wait. You don't remember what she looks like? What was the coolest way someone has died? Well, let me introduce you to this dude. This is Ben Solomon, and he was an army dentist for the United States during World War II. Since nobody really needed a dentist in the army, and one of the frontline surgeons got injured, Ben volunteered to be a frontline surgeon in a battle against Japan. During that battle, Ben was treating wounded soldiers inside the medical tent when he suddenly saw 2 Japanese soldiers run inside. The dentist immediately grabbed his bayonet and managed to kill them, but he realized that the defensive line had fallen, and soon the medical tent would be swarmed with Japanese soldiers. Ben immediately told the other medics to evacuate the wounded American soldiers, but he himself stayed behind. When the American soldiers returned to recapture the area around 15 hours later, they found his dead body slumped over a machine gun. However, they also found the bodies of 98 dead Japanese soldiers piled in front of him. Even though he was a dentist with no combat experience, he managed to have one of the greatest last stands in history.
He said, I ain't going down without a fight. Commend him.
So you have no idea what's on them? Not the house that's haunted. It's your son.
Yeah, the scary movie seekers.
Amy, was that you? I heard it. I heard something. I think there's something here.
You guys know I ain't into scary movies like that. These clips are as close as I'm gonna get to it.
She was upset that she missed her hair appointment, so she took her father's life because of it. On the morning of October 1st, 2021, 18-year-old Megan Amirowitz was busy preparing for her 18th birthday, which was going to take place at a hotel later that night. Since it was her 18th birthday, it was kind of a big deal for her, and she wanted to look her best, so she scheduled an appointment at a salon to get her hair done.
Okay.
As usual, her father, Conrad, was her chauffeur, and he was supposed to be taking her to the salon. Unfortunately for both of them, Conrad was a heavy drinker, and he had been drinking that early morning, so once he laid down on the couch, he ended up falling asleep. Megan tried her hardest to wake her father up, and then she realized that she was probably going to miss her appointment, and this made her blood boil. Instead of her calling an Uber to go to her destination, she decided to do something way different. Megan had grabbed a container of drain cleaner and poured it all over her father's body from head to toe. After that, then she doused him with water. Because of this combination, it caused a chemical reaction which burned away his skin. A short while later, one of Megan's friends arrived at the home. They took one look at Conrad and immediately called 911 in Oakland County, Michigan. Conrad was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. He told the medical staff that his daughter was responsible for this whole thing, but later he told investigators that he had no memory of what had happened. As Conrad was fighting for his life in the ICU, the detectives were busy gathering evidence. Once they had spoke with family members, Megan was arrested and charged. Not long after, Megan was released after posting bail. Although Conrad had survived the initial attack, he had to have both of his legs amputated, his kidneys shut down, and he had damage to his lungs. On March 6, 2022, after 3 days of being removed from life support, Conrad had passed away from his injuries. The whole time that Conrad was in the hospital, they would not let Megan go see her father for his safety, and she was very upset by it. About a week later, on March 11th, Megan's bail was rescinded and the charges against her were upgraded to murder. She was immediately taken into custody and she had to stay there until her trial in June of 2023. Although Conrad wasn't the biological father of Megan, he loved her so much. She was the apple of his eye, and while he was laying in his deathbed, he still tried to protect her when the law came calling for her. But with all the evidence that investigators had, it pointed to Megan as the one who burned her father alive. On July 25th, 2023, Megan was found guilty of murder. The judge on the case believed that because of Megan's age, she didn't realize what she had done, so she only sentenced her a 1-year sentence.
What?
While on parole, she would have to undergo a mental health assessment every 6 months. Megan would also be fitted for a GPS tracking device, have a strict curfew of 9 p.m., and this probation period would end in July 2028. If you made it towards the end of this video, thank you guys so much for watching, and let me know down below if you agree with this sentencing, and if you have any requests for me, let me know down below as well.
You probably had no idea that digging a hole in the sand can be this dangerous. In 2024, Teresa and Jason were vacationing in Florida with their 7-year-old daughter Sloan and their 9-year-old son Maddox. They were at the beach when their kids began playing and digging in the sand. They dug a 4 to 6 foot hole when suddenly the sand collapsed, burying Sloan first and then her brother Maddox on top of her. Their parents were sitting only a few feet away and tried their best to quickly save them, but Sloan was sucked by the sand completely, like her whole body was in the sand, and Maddox was only sucked in from the chest down. People at the beach quickly tried to dig the sand out to help save these 2 kids, but the walls just kept collapsing in. And after calling for help, it took about 20 minutes to get the kids out. Maddox did survive, but Sloan unfortunately lost her life. This is so devastating because I've never heard anyone talk about this before. And seeing your child lose their life by doing something so innocent like playing in the sand, I don't know how you can ever get over that. It's been advised that children should not be digging deeper than 2 feet because of how dangerous this is.
These are some of the strangest crime stories you'll ever hear. A man once robbed a bank and wrote down his demands on a piece of paper that had his full name and his address on the back, which obviously led to his arrest. Smart guy. This woman and her children were in a Babies R Us when she decided to steal a crib, but on the way out she forgot to grab the stroller that had her kid in it. I mean, she kinda had one job. An intoxicated woman was once pulled over after driving in one of these things on the road. Yeah, like those things that you drove around in as a kid. And when they asked her what she was doing, she said that she wanted to be a professional wrestler and that this was how to do it. Not a good look.
Oh yeah, she lost it, bro. Driving down the road.
Gruesome facts you didn't know, part 112. If you ever have kidney stones, simply take a ride on Thunder Mountain at Disney. In 2016, researchers took a model kidney on the ride to see if this rumor was actually true. They found that sitting in the back seat of the coaster would pass kidney stones 64% of the time. Sitting in the front, only about 17% of the time. This photo from the early 1900s shows 2 boys who were exposed to the same smallpox source. One was vaccinated, one wasn't. In 2007, at the age of only 38, Mark Bamber passed away from heart failure. To accommodate his 700-plus pound body, a special mahogany casket was made, which was nearly 8 feet long and 30 inches deep. At the time, there was no hearses that could accommodate a casket that large, so it had to be pulled by horse. After a horse riding accident, Emily Eccles was left with her jaw hanging on by only 1 millimeter of skin. Her surgeon said that her injury is the worst they've seen outside of a war zone. It took facial reconstructive surgeon Ricardo Muhammad Ali 5.5 hours to perform the surgery. This is her ready to go back to school just 1 month after the accident. In 1995, at the age of 61, artist William Utermohlen was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. From the time of his diagnosis until the year 2000, he created self-portraits, a powerful documentation of his descent into the illness. In 1923, jockey Frank Hayes won a race at Belmont Park in New York despite being dead. Mid-race, he suffered from a heart attack, but managed to stay in the saddle until he crossed the finish line.
I don't know how that was even possible, man. He still won that race. People didn't notice. That's eerie. Truly, man. Where he at?
There are some
Carla?
interesting abandoned places that you haven't seen before. This is an abandoned traffic jam in Belgium, which looks exactly like something out of The Last of Us.
Yeah.
This is an abandoned bunker that just has a ton of old vintage cars sitting in there. Why'd they leave them all? This is an abandoned ghost village in Turkey known as the Burj Al Babas. It has 587 unoccupied castles, and it looks like something AI made to me, to be honest. This was Detroit's Mark Twain Library, which was closed in 1996 for renovations and never opened again. This was a German expedition cruise ship that hit an uncharted reef in the Sandfly Passage of the Solomon Islands. This is an abandoned theater in Scranton, Pennsylvania. I never saw this in the office. This is a car graveyard after a Chinese car company went bankrupt and had nothing to do with them. This is the eerie yellow brick road of the abandoned Land of Oz theme park in North Carolina, which actually I think has been reopened possibly since. This is another abandoned theater in Pennsylvania, which is where Scranton is too. Why are y'all abandoning so many theaters in Pennsylvania? This is an escalator in an abandoned mall that was reclaimed by nature. Also looks something straight out of The Last of Us, which makes sense because that takes place 20 years in the future when things are abandoned. I just love abandoned things.
Those two things did look like that last
Now that
time.
I've seen it, I can't unsee it. So the other day, a Reddit user posted this photo to Reddit. It's of his apartment at night. He had been complaining of hearing rustling noises in his apartment over the last couple nights. Many users thought they could kind of see something in this area of his kitchen, but I couldn't, so I looked at the brightened version. This is the photo brightened. And I know what you're gonna say, yes it does look like Keanu Reeves, but look at how tall he is compared to the fridge. But it gets so much worse. This is a video he took of his apartment at night where you can see something happen to the light in the kitchen. But let's look at the brightened version.
Like it was flickering. Is that like a legit person or a ghost or spirit, man?
Yes, it's terrifying, but is it a ghost?
It's a cat or fat.
This is gonna make you feel crazy. Doja Cat might have had something to do with what happened to him. After Matthew's tragic passing, Doja Cat deleted all of her videos except for this one. So obviously the comments on that video are crazy. People are like, what? Did you have something to do with this? She now deletes the video. There's nothing up now. Take a closer look at this logo and you'll see that something is off. Now the word friends is 7 letters, and in between each letter is a dot that represents each of the friends. You can see how it correlates to each one here. The dot in between the D and the E is gone. Why is one of them missing? This is just a conspiracy theory. I like talking about conspiracy theories. This is not a disrespectful thing. And this was a promotion for her new music video called Demons. And we all know how she's been recently, and all of the other conspiracy theories. Now I get that Friends is a popular TV show, but like, the timing's really weird. You can't deny that. Everything is intentional. How would this have been an error? Think about the kind of team she has. How would they forget the first dot? But the promotional photo came out exactly 2 months before what happened to him. And you remember he did all these weird Instagram posts right before he passed away. I made a post about that if you don't know what I'm talking about. Like, all of this weird stuff makes you wonder if he saw it coming. If you like my content, follow my TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for more. It really helps when you interact.
What do you guys think about that one? That's kind of, I think, conspiracy theory. But a lot of what she was saying, I guess, was lining up. What do you guys think?
Top 5 most dangerous animals in the world. Coming in at number 5, we have the assassin bug, also known as the kissing bug because it's known to bite people on the face. People who are bitten by an assassin bug often contract Chagas disease, which can be deadly to humans. These bugs kill upwards of 12,000 people every single year and can be found in the southern half of the United States. At number 4, we have freshwater snails. Now I know what you're thinking, how can a snail be one of the most deadly animals on Earth?
Yeah.
Freshwater snails can have parasitic worms on them, which can get people sick from a disease called schistomiasis, which causes severe pain in the abdomen area. Anywhere between 20,000 to 200,000 people every single year die of this disease. making freshwater snails the 4th most deadliest animal on the planet. Like and follow for the top 3.
That's crazy, bro. Those small animals cause that much
Here are some
damage.
people who survived the impossible. A boy born with just 2% of his brain completely defied doctors' predictions after his brain grew to 80% of the average size. Doctors had told his parents to terminate the pregnancy not once, not twice, but 5 times. The chief baker on the Titanic, Charles Joe Finn, survived in icy waters for 2 hours before he was rescued. He claimed he didn't feel cold at all thanks to how hammered he was from all the whiskey he was drinking that night. In 1999, skydiver Joan Murray's parachute malfunctioned, causing her to fall 14,000 feet to the ground. But miraculously, Joan survived the fall only because she landed directly onto a mound of fire ants. Doctors believe that being stung over 200 times by the ants released a surge of adrenaline that kept her heart beating. In 1915, a distraught woman who was late to her sister's funeral demanded to see her one last time. So the coffin was raised out of the ground, and when it was opened, the dead woman sat up and smiled. She went on to live for another 47 years.
Buried alive? What the heck? We've been hearing clips of that, but bro, imagine being buried alive, man. I woke up like the damn, rose up like the Undertaker, bro. Scared her sister like that?
Let's talk about the disturbing story of the other game made by the Hungry Lamu developer, Untime. The full game playthrough is on my channel. We are going to go over the full story here in this short, but it's better if you experience it yourself. In this game, we play as a girl named Cersei. She recently moved out of town for an unknown reason, and she's starting a new life with a new job. Her brother still writes her letters, though, and he mentions in one of them, "We've moved on from Lila. It wasn't your fault." Not sure what that means, but okay. Before our first day of work, we hear about a serial killer on the news, and we say hi to our neighbor Ruth, who's doing her stretches in the front yard. Our boss at the bookstore's name is Bobby. He's a pretty rude guy, and he yells at us for being late. And after the shift is done, a running man passes us on the street and drops a watch that we pick up to sell. And it's here where the story starts to take a turn. About a month passes and we learn a few things. The serial killer was found dead. The scientist named Dr. Travis that worked at Sagier Labs, the same labs that put out a report about time travel and how it's actually possible. But instead of traveling through time, you really just jump to a different time in a parallel timeline, basically. This is important because that day we show up to work, Bobby yells at us for being late again, we snap, and kill him. Ruth sees us do it and calls the police. Right before they shoot us, we use the watch unknowingly to time travel. Yes, this same watch. Dr. Travis was using it to time travel and kill people. And now that's exactly what we're doing. We're time traveling to different timelines, killing Ruth and Bobby over and over and over again. But we eventually run out of timelines and we're killed by us. The original Cersei that was shot by the police still exists. Our consciousness was just transferred to a parallel timeline. Everything looped back around. And we can infer that our character Cersei was the one who killed Lila. I guess we've always been a serial killer.
If you see one of these hanging from someone's bag, run. Oh, sorry, I meant these. Turns out they might be kinda demonic, so this is everything you need to know about the Labubu demon theory in 1 minute. These collectible toys called Labubus have been going crazy viral after a few celebrities were seen hanging them off their purses, and so everyone wanted one. They are these weird stuffed creatures with sharp teeth, evil grins, and angry-looking eyes that can also be red. Not suspicious at all, right? Then many people came out online saying weird shit started happening right after they bought theirs. Stories of objects moving around their house, waking up with scratches, getting sick, and experiencing chest pains. One girl claimed she saw the eyes change color and this smile get wider. Another got in a car accident shortly after buying one. Either way, everyone just felt a creepy, unsettling presence around these toys for some reason. Well, now similarities are being drawn between the name Labubu and a demonic deity from Babylonian mythology called Pazuzu, who's known as the King of the Demons and is often depicted with animal features, sharp teeth, a grinning smile, and long ears. Looks familiar, and people got so spooked they started burning theirs and throwing them out of fear. And of course, Simpsons already called it over 7 years ago in an episode where Homer buys a literal Pazuzu toy for Maggie and she gets possessed. Celebrities endorsing behavior with weird demonic undertones marketed towards the youth has disturbingly become just another Tuesday in the 21st century. I do not claim any of this negative energy, and don't worry, neither do you.
Stay away from those Labubus, man.
To know. People who are good in math are the people who are always complicated in relationships.
Really?
The firstborn daughter is always the female version of her father. It is said that the nicest people always look mean at first. People who bite their nails are the smartest one. A girl's favorite song will tell you more about her feelings than her lips' voice ever will. Smiling too much is generally a sign of someone experiencing emotional pain. The people who spend a lot of time on the internet are mostly likely to be depressed or lonely. If you can't get someone off your mind, there is a 79% chance they feel the same way. Your body is weakest around at 3 to 4 a.m. This is when most people die in their sleep. Smart people get quickly annoyed by others.
You may not have noticed this secret message in Hereditary. So the big question is, how did the cult get Charlie, the little girl, to the high school party? They were people at his high school pretending to be his friend. They invited him to the party knowing Charlie might have come. On top of this, the mom forced Peter to bring Charlie with him to the party. We know that the cult members are his friends because in the ending scene, you can see the guy with the ponytail here and there. Also, if it isn't weird enough that they put nuts in a cake at a party, everything and everyone at the house party had the same colors as the cult. Also, if you put her chopping the nuts, it's the same rate as Annie bashing her head on the attic door. But now I got a lot to say about the girl he was going to see at the party. So when they were in class, they were talking about a parable involving Heracles, and they were talking about if it was bad that he couldn't avoid what happened to him because his fate was predetermined, and like whether that was tragic or not. And she said it's more tragic that he doesn't know that his fate could not be avoided, and that he will always think that there was something he could have done about it. This is obviously like foreshadowing. And then we go to that night, and Peter obviously regrets what happened and wishes he could have done something different. On top of this, her Facebook profile tells us her name is Bridget Mulp, and Mulp is the name of a siren known for beauty, danger, and seduction. Just like her. She lured Peter to this party, and that lured Charlie to her death. Because she was like, come upstairs with me. And that left Charlie alone to eat the cake that she was allergic to. Now look at her hand here on her profile. It's doing the same hand that the statue does. I'll show you it again. Let me know what movie I should do next, and come over here for longer videos.
She took the life
Most
of
on
her
the note.
5-year-old brother and consumed his private parts. 5-year-old Macon Roque lived with his 18-year-old sister Karina and their mother Daniela in Brazil. On April 4th of 2019, Daniela had some shopping to do, so she left Macon back at home with Karina. Daniela returned home about an hour later, and for some reason she couldn't open the front door. She yelled out to her children to come help her to open the door, but Karina yelled back at her saying that she couldn't. Daniela started to worry, so she contacted her brother-in-law to come break down the door. Once they both went inside of the home, they were met with a horrific scene. Karina had taken the life of Macon, partially decapitated him, and mutilated him. At that point, the family dog attacks Karina. She retaliates and bites the dog. Karina then starts to attack her uncle by throwing things at him and hitting him. She even tried to flee the scene, but she was caught. Once police arrived at the home to investigate Macon's body, they noticed that his body was surrounded by black candles. Police truly believe that Karina was using Macon's body as part of a ritual. That's when police discovered that Karina had cut and eaten some of Macon's body parts. She was quickly arrested and taken to the police station, and at first she was not saying anything, but eventually she confessed to everything. Karina stated that she asked Macon if he wanted to come into her room to play some games, and of course he said yes. That's when she grabbed a pillow, pinned him down, and suffocated him. She then grabbed a knife and tried to remove his head, and he was left partially decapitated. The knife was then inserted into his eyes, and his feet were burned with a lighter. His private parts were then removed, and Karina ate them. Karina was charged with aggravated homicide, attempted murder of her uncle, biting the family dog, and hiding a deceased body. She was sent to a psychiatric hospital, and she continues to receive medical, social, and psychological care.
Yo, what's up? Here's some scary facts about our world that you probably didn't want to know. Part 21. Scientists claim that the research they have done shows that 1% of society meets the criteria to be a psychopath. That means 1 in every 100 people you meet will be a psychopath. It was said a long time ago that boiled toads would help cure rheumatism, which is arthritis, and that feeding rotted mice to children would help with their bedwetting problems. Have I wet my bed before? Moving on. Oh yeah, this is just a fact to remind you that there is a brain-eating amoeba out there that if you get water through your nose or in your ears, that it could possibly, eat your brain. At an abandoned wildlife park in Australia, there is a fully preserved shark found still in the tank filled with murky waters. Oh my gosh.
Really? A fully preserved shark? They didn't try to remove it or anything? I don't don't know about that one, man. Won't be going there if I go to Australia. Where we at? In the middle of the night. It'd be a brave soul to do that. Something blinking.
Look, after Selena Gomez, Jennifer Lopez, Celine Dion, Cardi B, and even Justin Bieber, it's now singer Billie Eilish's turn to deal with a mysterious illness. What's happening to her is truly creepy. Most people discovered her back in 2018 when everything seemed to be going great for her. But now, listen to what she confessed to these two people.
I'm never feeling happy, so why would I write about things I don't know about? You know, I feel the dark things. I feel them very strongly.
Unfortunately for her, on that day, the two doctors didn't understand what she was trying to explain. So she decided to try a different approach. She started drawing the monsters she sees in her nightmares. Here are some of the drawings she made.
Oh, this song. This is the drawing of this song. Because the whole song is about, like, monsters under your bed.
They're just terrifying. But wait, it gets even creepier. Hidden messages are said to exist in her song, When the Party's Over. And these messages, they're spine-chilling. You can hear them by playing her music in reverse. But hold on, because the second hidden message is far worse. She says something that sounds like a cry for help. It's as if she's being threatened by something powerful. Could it be that she too made a pact at the start of her career, like so many other artists allegedly have? If you like my videos and want to support me, click the link in my bio.
People who survived the impossible, Part 3. A 42-year-old Russian fisherman was viciously attacked by a brown bear in 2014, but he was spared when the ringtone his granddaughter installed onto his phone suddenly went off. Justin Bieber's song Baby miraculously sent the bear running back into the woods like a bitch. Titanic survivor Dick Williams spent over 6 hours waist deep in freezing waters before being rescued. Doctors wanted to amputate both of his legs, but he refused because he wanted to continue playing tennis. He made a full recovery and went on to become a U.S. tennis champion in mixed doubles. In 2014, 3-year-old Karina Chikatova survived in the Siberian wilderness for 11 days with nobody other than her dog. She ate wild berries, drank from a river, and curled up with her dog for warmth. She was saved when her dog managed to find her village and guide rescuers toward her. In 1915, Mexican man Wenceslao Moguel was sentenced to execution and shot 9 times by a firing squad. But he managed to survive every shot, including the coup de grace, a final shot to the head at point-blank range to ensure death. He went on to live for another 70 years, finally dying in 1976.
Police accidentally ended her life for entering the wrong home. On May 16th of 2010, a TV show called The First 48 was filming in Detroit. This show documents homicide investigations and police raids. That night, the show's camera crew alongside the Detroit Police Department arrived at the home of the Jones family. Inside of the home was 7-year-old Ayanna Stanley Jones, who was asleep on the couch, and her grandmother Myrtilla Jones. It was very late at night and the police were executing a search warrant for the arrest of Chauncey Owens. He was a prime suspect in the murder of a 17-year-old who was fatally shot outside of a liquor store. TV crew started filming as soon as the police broke down the door and threw a flashbang grenade into the home. The blinding flash and deafening noise caused immediate chaos. Myrtilla dropped to the ground and pleaded with police officers to not use excessive force because her granddaughter was inside of the home. As she was laying on the floor with guns pointed at her, she noticed that Ayanna's blanket had caught fire. When she tried to put the flames out, she noticed that Ayanna was bleeding from her mouth. Officer Joseph Weekly had entered the home and fired a single shot. That bullet had struck Ayanna in her head. She was rushed to the hospital, but she was pronounced dead shortly after. Myrtilla was taken into custody after the officer claimed that she tried to grab his gun. She was released the next day, and the First 48 crew had captured the entire thing on film.
4K.
Police later confirmed that they were targeting Ayanna's uncle, who lived in the upstairs unit, which meant they entered the wrong home. On October 4th of 2011, the officer Joseph Weekly and the First 48 producer Allison Howard were arraigned. Officer Weekly was placed on paid leave and pled not guilty because he claimed he didn't know there were any children inside of the home because he didn't see any kind of toys. He claimed that he had his hand on his gun once he saw Myrtilla moving when she was helping Ayanna, and he accidentally pulled the trigger. All remaining charges against Officer Weekly were dropped, and once Ayanna's family heard about this, they were heartbroken. The city of Detroit reached a settlement and gave Ayanna's family $8.6 million in damages. In April of 2015, Officer Joseph Wheatley returned back to work like normal. In 2016, he was appointed co-chair in the Detroit Police Committee. As for Allison Howard, the former producer of the first 48, she had lied under oath about sharing the footage to a third party. She was charged but later accepted a plea deal and she was given probation. In 2016, what would have been Ayanna's 14th birthday, the Black Lives Matter movement held a rally in her memory.
That's a tragic story, man. Truly. All because they entered the wrong apartment, bro. How did they not know they weren't in the right place? Preparation, man.
Kate is dividing the internet, but regardless of what you believe, there is a tiny little baby out there missing, and it's terrifying. So let's take a look together at what the hell has gone on here.
I got him out of the car seat, and I laid him down so I could get his diapers ready. And somebody said, "Hola," and that's all I remember. And I saw white. And a hearing sound, I fell on the floor, and I said, as I got up, I couldn't find my son. I checked all around my truck, and I ran into Big 5, and I asked the lady if she saw a baby or someone with a baby. She said no. It was a happy boy. He smiled.
Whoever took our son, please give him back.
Now, as you can probably tell from that clip, police are currently searching for a tiny little 7-month-old baby called Emmanuel Harrow. He was reportedly kidnapped in San Bernardino County, California. So just days ago, on the 14th of August, just before 8 p.m, the child's mum said she was parked outside a Big 5 store. She said she needed to go and buy a mouthguard for her other son, and she noticed her baby, who she was carrying at the time, needed his nappy changing. So she said she went to the back of the car that she was in to get him changed when someone said hola, and then all of a sudden it went white. She couldn't see anything, and she just stood up. She had been knocked on the ground. She stood up and she was unable to see her child anymore. Obviously, you can see from that clip that the mum does appear to have a black eye, and surely there would be some kind of CCTV from the car park, which I hope police are looking into. The parents were apparently watching some sort of sports game for one of their children, and they have 4 other children as well as this baby. Police have stated that the mother's story did have inconsistencies. I don't know what they are, and they aren't ruling out foul play. Now, they didn't release any details about potential attackers, no sort of descriptions of the person who potentially stole this baby. He stated that Rebecca, the mum, was confronted with some of the inconsistencies in her story, and she declined to continue with the interview. Now, this could obviously be for many, many reasons. Canine team, so the dog team, were brought in to try and trace the scent of the child, because sometimes that is how they can track missing children, but unfortunately the dogs weren't able to pick up a scent. Emmanuel's parents are urging anybody with information to come forward. Rebecca stated, "I'm begging you, if you know anything, please. I'm begging you to bring him back."
What do you think, Seekers? About that case? Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support. Make sure you guys leave a like button, hit that like button, follow me on my social medias. You guys are gonna catch me in the next video. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.